This is a story from my collection of Tales of the Bizarre and the Unnatural. This tale happens to be both. The Scorthian Takeover. The soldiers from a planet we call Scorthia have invaded our cities and imposed martial law. They know at least as much about us as we do ourselves. It is uncanny how they can predict our every move. But for now, they simply want to contain us and observe how we behave after this detestable enemy has poisoned our atmosphere for more than 2 centuries with their dark, vaporous clouds of forgetting, where the entire human population went into an anesthetized state of which we can still remember nothing, despite our decade upon decade of research. We do not understand anything about them until now, when they have finally chosen to corral human beings across the planet, simultaneously by closing off our cities to one another. And our common enemy is very dangerous. They can seize any number of us at any time they please, and there is nothing we can do to stop them. And they want us to think that, above all, we are completely powerless. People of this planet are inherently useful to them. We, and by this I mean the final conclusion presented at the United Nations, we can expect with good reason that the Scorthians will draw aside the veil from themselves soon. They have discovered a race of beings they can coax and guide into a colony. They have manipulated us for generations to ultimately fear them in ways we cannot begin to imagine. Wars in this new, still-to-be-fathomed digital age share a few commonalities imposed by the forces of gravity in our solar system and within the carbon and silicon atoms. We have already succeeded in monitoring and recording various Scorthian threats. They can be characterized with greater detail, of course, and their purposes for us will become uncomfortably clear. These creatures have discovered how to live for several centuries. We already know they are merciless. They have evolved over millions of years just like us. Only they discovered how to prolong their lives. A theory, mind you, but a well-accepted one. There's a familiar adage, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. This proposition shattered their centuries-long period of undisturbed reflection. Yes, it seems to have given them pause. It seems to have pricked them with the sensation of worry. To them, a completely alien emotion. Just like many of us, as we get older, I have lived through the aftermath of one of the Scorthian attacks. We all regain consciousness simultaneously with total amnesia. People with families tend to fare better psychologically. In my case, I awoke in a living room, my living room. There were 3 other people there. They turned out to be my wife and my 2 children, who had both been going to college at the time. By the end of the second week, we had regained most of our memories. Yet many have said that the Scorthian intrusion every 37 years stole away many of their memories. Only the young are ever free from this experience, until that day arrives, which has been the center of the nightly news hour for the past year. But now they have taken over our cities. They have cast us off from one another, so now we no longer trust anyone from another city, since he or she would have had to evade the Scorthian network of surveillance and teams of trained, skilled soldiers who could catch most escapees, and do. Yet a lucky few managed to escape into the country where the Scorthian surveillance networks are far more limited. Work took place on all fronts to develop a way to repel the Scorthians. And then our plan of insurgency against the Scorthians would have to prove effective. And still, the Scorthians were always clever enough to find these communications and trace them back to their origin. The Scorthians were the present-day enactment of Lucifer, bringing madness down upon the world once again. The Scorthians had become Lucifer's henchmen in many people's minds. We looked at the Scorthians as an overpowering force. Some fell into the use of metaphors, including hurricanes and tornadoes. But in my view, every 37 years they came here and they raped us. But now every city is on its own to deal with the Scorthian patrols through the projects and neighborhoods. They are giants and average about 7 feet 6 inches tall. Their faces are bland enigmas. They will take people with them after some of their visits. This is what has become deeply disturbing and terrifying when it happens. We still do not know what the Scorthians do with their victims. This is the next phase in their relations with us. Of course, they want to remain and squeeze out the last drop of amusement from the population of Earth people. Yet they will also see the grave error they made when they assumed their biological protections were adequate. And we know that airborne virus might possibly drive them away. We could conceivably spray them with the smoke of our own undetected, and the Scorthian defense would finally have been breached. These creatures now contaminated with a virus that would begin to kill them and hopefully drive them away. All we have to do was convey our thoughts back and forth in handwritten messages. Any remarks having to do with the Scorthians are always composed in longhand first. Later on, they may become interesting records, artifacts of the era, but for now, they are how we communicate with one another. Wives, husbands, children were soon writing messages to contribute to the mounting problem the Scorthians would have in finding the documents concerning the insurgency. We soon discovered the Scorthians wear skin-tight suits which have millions of circuits woven through them and repel bullets with a powerful force field. A direct hit from a mortar will disable the device and often